Hello and welcome to Real Hi-Fi Help. Is hi-fi a waste of time and money? Well, let's have a look at this. Most of us, I think, we probably start off with a room like this. It's got perhaps sound equipment in it, like some drums, radiator, guitar thingies, and you probably got a small desk setup and receiver and stuff like that. And then we kind of aim for something more like this. Most of us probably think that, the setup like this is where it starts to begin to get a lot better, the sound, a lot more interesting, a lot more personal. I actually like the look of this. Very interesting. And then maybe when we've got that thing going on, then perhaps we want something that's more, I don't know, clear, interesting, new, flashy, and then we get perhaps something like this. Uh, looks very cool. By the way, guys, just for shits and giggles, I remember having the LP player that I have now, the Skull LP player, and then I was just putting a USB flashlight from my PC behind the acrylic platter here. So that's a funny thing you guys should experiment with if you ever want to play around. If you have like a light behind the acrylic platter, it can actually create like a Macintosh looking platter. So try and do that if you can. That's actually quite a lot of fun. But once we get into this class of gear, perhaps we're then sorry. Perhaps we're then we yearn for something that's better, a lot better, a lot more high class than for example this condo setup. But let me just get into this. There's been times when I've thought that I was wasting time and money on hi-fi and just simply going nowhere because I was just going from one bad setup to another. But then I kind of learned about 20 years ago that if it was not hi-fi that I was doing, then it would have been most likely something else in my life, making me waste time and money. Like, for example, going to concerts where they were playing too loud, and where you were taking drugs, or you got drunk and you couldn't get home and got in an accident, or just random stuff like that. If I wasn't doing hi-fi, I would have just been doing some other form of waste of time and money. And I personally feel that if you have a hobby that regenerates your mental and physical health and can make you come back to work in some kind of form by just giving you true high levels of joy in your life, then I actually suggest that you do this. That you, for example, get interested in hi-fi, or just keep on doing it. For me personally, having to use 2 to 4 hours every day driving to work, and then the usual 8 to 12 hours, depending on what type of week it is, in an office every day. It's just, it's mentally and physically hard. And hi-fi for me was like the highest level of satisfaction I could get in my life, and the most longest lasting one. So, and it's especially because I just felt like, the more that my life went on, the older I got, the less time I had, because I had to travel more. I had to, put more hours in at work. It just kind of locked me, and I couldn't really do the stuff that I wanted to do. I like playing golf a lot, but there just wasn't any time for that. And then, I probably only got like 1 or 2 times a year, or maybe even 4 times a year where I could play golf, and just yeah. All in all, it just wasn't really that exciting, compared to hi-fi, and I was in this phase previously in my life where I like buying expensive shoes, clothes, golf clubs, stuff like that, even though I didn't play a lot of golf. So yeah, hi-fi kind of did that for me, gave me something that felt like it was, a lot longer lasting enjoyment. So I feel that if you slowly become good at figuring out what sounds good, and you make a small investment, some adjustments to your sound, and then it all starts paying off, and you really start to get into this good zone of sound. I feel that hi-fi can easily make your life a lot better, so you become a lot more happy. And the last, I would say, 5-10 years time, I've always thought in this way, where if I bought this CD player or amplifier or DAC or whatever, would it last me 1 year or 5 years or 10 years or 30 years? I've always been, not always, but at least the last 5-10 years time, been thinking in that direction, so that I know if this purchase that I'm about to go through with, is that just gonna fix a thing here and now, and then later on I'll have to buy the same thing just more expensive. I think a lot of people have to kind of ask themselves that question: is this a here and now solution, or will this actually be a thing that I can transfer to my next system, or my next system after that? I think it's a very important thing that we all ask ourselves, because it makes hi-fi make a lot more sense when you're not changing everything every couple of years. That can get really expensive if you're just going one class up every 3 years and you're changing everything in that system. That could easily, even though it seems like you're saving money, make you lose a lot of money in the long run. So just a thing to think about. But yeah, there are some people in hi-fi that just use it as an excuse not for dealing with life and buying stuff because it's different, it's affordable, and they're just trying to fill out that void in life. I mean, we all do that with all the stuff that we buy in life. I also know some people that do that with cars, that they just have like 2 or 3 or 4 cars, even though they only have like a semi-regular wage, and you just think like, why are they doing this? They still got a mortgage on their house. They haven't even paid for all the cars. Those are monthly payments. Why would they do that to themselves? These aren't really that great cars. Yeah, it just makes me wonder sometimes, especially with guys and their car habits. Makes me wonder sometimes, like, why do people use so much time on something that basically just is a transport device? A car is basically just a transport device with a nice chassis, and a bit of comfort here and there. It's of course nice in the present time to get a sports car, to get a Tesla or an electric car for the first time. I was also ecstatic once I got that, but literally it doesn't take more than a couple of months, and then that thing that you've used 50, 100, 200, $300,000 on, or maybe even more, just becomes another thing that drives you. It just almost gives you the same amount of joy like a 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 car. And so I think it's important that we just put our feeler out there and realize what does really make us happy, what is long sustainable energy that you can draw from in your life. And believe it or not, I feel that I actually save money focusing on HIFI, having that as such a big thing in my life. Because if I didn't do that, I remember before I got into HIFI, and I wasn't at that time really earning any money. But time-wise, at least, I was using a lot of time on stuff like golf, going to concerts, just doing stuff with friends, where I went out, in the city, and we drank, and restaurants and stuff like that. And that is fun to some degree, but I think a lot of people just do this continuously throughout their lives. It's like, yeah, let's go to a restaurant. Yeah, let's have a nice hotel. Let's have a new holiday. And then you just, before you know it, you've paid like $1,000 just in 1 year just for the parking of all the stuff that you wanted to do. And if you try to count all the stuff that you buy at a petrol station, at a 7-Eleven, at all of these small specialty stores where you buy snack bars, candy bars, where you get your Starbucks coffee and stuff like that. When you add that stuff up after about 10 years, that could easily be $50,000 that you could have saved easily. For some people, that could be like what they save after a couple of months, or even just like a year or two. So it's worth I think it's worth mentioning this, because it's easy to think, I think, at least for some women out there that don't want their husbands or partner, whatever, to buy these big speakers or whatever. If he wasn't buying big speakers and amplifiers, what other stuff would he then be doing that's perhaps worse? I think you have to kind of think in that direction too. So yeah, it's so easy in life to just waste time and money on stuff, and I feel that HIFI is just like one of those few things where it's almost like you're Warren Buffett, and you're investing in the right things, and it's kind of, cementing itself there, slowly building its value, giving you, value throughout the years, so you can do other stuff in life, when I had HIFI in my life and I went into some decent systems, suddenly I had energy for restaurating the houses that I lived in, had energy to go out, get some fresh air, exercise, do some life projects here and there, take some courses, and just work hard at work. I was one of the most hardest workers, most stable workers out there, and HIFI really helped me do that. That was like my anchor, and I could turn up at work like 2, 4, 5, 6 years in a row without having to call in sick. That's because of HIFI. It mentally and physically kept me at a high level where where my spirit was lifted quite a bit. And I remember when I lost my YBA modified gear, that was a really hard time in my life where I think it was almost 2 years where it felt so unfair, because I knew that I had done this to myself, where I circuited my amplifier, and that whole process of getting the insurance company over it, dealing with that, having to get it repaired several different places, was just heartbreaking for me. It almost made me want to quit HIFI for a small amount of time. And but having that as a dream, remembering that really good sound that I had with that YBA gear, Passion gear that I had modified, having that as a dream, it almost motivated me in an indirect way. But it was hard. It was hard not really having a hi-fi system for about, it was almost 2 years. That was sincerely really like a really tough part in my life, because I was also changing jobs there, and those were hard jobs, really hard jobs. But I had some good friends, and I listened to their stuff, and that actually also helped me a lot, listening to their good music. So that kind of gave me hope. But I'm just trying to say that hi-fi is a thing that if you just do it in a decent way, you don't have to do it at a very high class way, but I think if you just do it in a kind of structured type of way, where you're in the end kind of getting what you want, and you're patient, and you've set out a plan and stuff like that, I feel that this could be a lot like getting success in life, where you're making a plan, you're following up on that plan, you're constantly reevaluating yourself. Where are you compared to this plan? Where are you going? What's the next thing? If you buy this thing, where will that lead to? I was in this mindset for at least 10 years, especially because I got to know a hi-fi friend who basically made most of my gear. I was lucky getting a hold of a guy, and I think I bought at least 30 things from him over the years. Man, I bought a lot of stuff through that guy, and I really like turning up at his place and just listening to his stories. He was like a mad scientist that always had something new that he had upgraded, or maybe sometimes it wasn't even upgraded equipment. Sometimes it was just regular, high class exotic gear that you never see in the stores locally. And I was lucky, I had access to him for some years, and we became good friends, and man, was that really just exciting. I think most people would just rather chase girls, chase wealth, chase that car, get that big house, try to live up to other people's expectations. And me, I was more grounded. For me, life was just, I think from around 2009 when I got to know him, life was just basically for me getting the best gear out there, and not just getting, like the normal stuff that you have in the stores and the most expensive stuff in the stores, but like the really rare good stuff that almost no one knows of. So that helped me a lot. That helped me, maintain my sanity. That was like the biggest high in life, at least for me. But yeah, I feel that when you can do these things, when you can skip, having the latest iPad and smartphone and gadget, and you can get, basically the same stuff for a fifth of the price. I constantly say this in my videos. my phone, can basically do what most newest phones out there do for like 20 times the price. And yeah, it won't be the biggest phone, the fastest phone, and it has the latest feature, but it can do all the stuff that it needs to do, but still at a price that's only $50. And when you live your life in this way, and you become your own person, and you don't, listen to what's popular, you can just get a lot more truth, a lot more quality in your life. And that's basically what this channel is about, the real quality of hi-fi, and experimenting and trying the stuff that doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense in theory, but once you really hit on those few points that do make sense, once you've tried them and failed a lot, it's just fantastic, the gains that you get. And I'd rather, constantly saw people at work, pumping iron. After work they just, after work they had their protein shake, and then they had their caffeine pill, and then they went down, and they just like for 1.5 hours, and then they came out, and their face was like half red. And it just think like, why would you do that to yourself? You could just eat a cheaper and healthier protein and just go for a walk every day, and you wouldn't even have to take a shower, and then you would still have time to come home and spend that either with your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, family, and you would still have time to listen to music. So why would you do that to yourself? It just makes me wonder sometimes, and I think that, with time we just get more wise, and we understand that it's those few things in life that we do that makes life worth living. And for me, hi-fi was that thing. Previously I was a fitness nut, and a guy who constantly had to play either football, table tennis, or golf constantly. And I still try to keep myself fit. I'm not nearly as fit as back then, but again, again, kind of a waste of time when I think back on it, because if you're just doing that to get that rush, and you're still eating shit, it's not necessarily a good thing then to do a lot of exercise when you're running on bad fuel. And I did that for many years. But I think it's a good idea. Conclusion: I think it's a good idea if you just set up a plan for yourself, predict where you're heading, where you want to go, and get things in like your own kind of way, and just don't settle with bad gear. And then have some friends that visit them, take some small chances, go to some forums on the net, go over the border, visit some other people from some other countries. I've done that. Just get to know a lot of people and talk about a lot of stuff, and get into a lot of different religions of sound. And I feel that if you do this, and if you like me and my friend, we have like a healthy competition going on, where we're saying like, mine is better, yours better, and we would like to show off our newest things to each other. That's a fun thing. That's a fun and constructive thing, and it also keeps you on track, and it just makes hi-fi a lot more fun and exciting, instead of just being an old pathetic, I don't know, 40 to 80-year-old that just sits down and listens to crap music on a crap stereo, and just uses that as an excuse for not doing whatever needs to be done in life. I think it's fun. Hi-fi is a game. You just turn it into something that's a bit more fun, and you have to kind of be a bit eager have some ambition. You know, you want to go to a certain place that you cannot necessarily afford right now, but that's the gear that you want. That's the sound that you've heard, and you being on that constant what do you call it, hunt mode, you know, tracking it down and getting this piece and getting that piece, and SMSing this guy and trying something new, and that didn't work, but then this failed over here, and then because of this thing that failed over here, then you know that you don't like that sound, then you go in this direction. It just, that hunt, you know, that I think that's basically what we all want in life, you know, hunting the girl down that you want so you can marry her, hunting the house that you want so you can live there with your kids outside, away from the city, hunting down the car that you spent 20 years finding, that's a special edition that you know your dad worked on. Just that the hunt, it's simply the hunt of creating a desire for something and then just tracking that thing down and doing all the research and following up on it, and then just, you know, having a passion and just going after it, you know. I think that's what's really important in hi-fi, not just sitting down and then ignoring the entire world and listening to your crap sound, you know. But I think we're all different in that aspect, you know. I'm not here to put ideas into people's minds. That's what makes it interesting for me, and I think that a lot of people that perhaps get stuck in the hi-fi world, if they were to do something perhaps like me or similar, I think that they would perhaps enjoy hi-fi more, get something more out of it. Or you could also just take everything that I've said and then convert it to some other part of your life. I think you could also do that. So yeah, when you get to a certain point, a certain mental state, you can draw a lot of energy from your sound setup. I've seen this several times at work, where I know the people at work that have good sound systems, you can just see on them, on their faces, that they've got this like that like relaxed, knowing that they're gonna come home to something good, and it's going to excite them, and it's not going to stress them, that type of thing. Where when you look at those other colleagues that just have a normal PC and have only have Dre Beats headphones, you just know that those guys are just, you know, I wouldn't say losers, but you just know that those guys aren't nearly as happy, because those guys are chasing the wrong things. Those guys are chasing the latest Koenigsegg car, the latest whatever new tech thing, and they're just like, I wouldn't say call them losers, but they're just chasing the wrong things that doesn't really make them happy, and they won't discover it before they start hitting 40, 50, 60 years old of age. So yeah, it's about making that investment, following up on the plan, and sometimes you have to just be honest towards yourself and think that, okay, maybe this more expensive thing isn't very good. I have to perhaps go with something a bit cheaper that I know will last longer and be more compatible with this other system that I will have in the future. So yeah, it's a great skill to have, being able to look at where you've been, where you're now, where you're headed, and what you are going to do with your life in order to reach that goal. And this is just hi-fi. This could be you being an entrepreneur. It could be you having a house, finding a girl, or finding a boy. Whatever you're into. It's just about, you know, tracking that thing down, being in that hunting mode, realizing where you are, where you've been, and where you're headed. I think that's very important. very important. And of course, if you can find like a partner in your life that also truly makes you happy for who you are, and can appreciate stuff like cables that are ugly, speakers that are ugly. I know some of my friends, they just have the best girlfriend in the world because they totally respect their wishes. You know, they can just do anything that they want. They can get the ugliest speaker that looks like a pissoir, or some really ugly ass cables that are just lying all over the place. You know, it just you know, I find that amazing. And then when you go to some of these other relationships, especially in the city, where it's this modern vibe, white minimalistic apartment, and you've got this partner just saying no, it has to be white, it has to be small speaker, it has to be minimalistic, then you just know that your hi-fi dreams are screwed for life. Personally, this is just me personally, but I would not be with a partner that did not respect that one thing in my life, that I wanted an ugly ass speaker, ugly ass cables, and it was perhaps a bit messy. I get the part that you shouldn't be a total slob, but you should have some room for having what you want. And if you have a partner that's on the same page as you, you can then also enjoy your hi-fi experience even more. I find it fantastic when I look at these channels like let's just take Andrew Robinson, one of the more successful hi-fi channels on YouTube. He does these videos with his girlfriend, or I don't know if it's his girlfriend or if they're married or whatever, but then at the end of the video they do this commentating stuff, and there you can hear that she's also in on the game, and she also likes to listen to speakers, and she also has like a different view on things. I think that's fantastic when your partner also is into hi-fi, and it doesn't just become a thing where you're insane because you're dealing with hi-fi gear that is big and ugly, and they have these weird ideas of you wasting your life on that. No. The hi-fi, I personally think that the hi-fi is there for us as a tool to get our life energy, our passion, so we can use it on other things in life, like building a house, restoring a house, repairing your own car, doing life projects, whatever you want to do. If you want to hunt in your life, if you want to have your own farm, if you want to, I don't know, ride horses, whatever. It's a tool that we have to use. It mustn't be the most important thing, because I feel that if it becomes the most important thing in life, you end up becoming a loser, and you end up obsessing with it and not objectively looking at it in a proper way that is constructive and making your life better. So I use hi-fi as a tool for me appreciating life more, me being together with certain friends, colleagues, individuals, and getting to know them and their sound, and it's just a lot of fun and excitement for me. So yeah, I hope this kind of gives you a lot of inspiration to pursue whatever you want to pursue in the whole hi-fi arena. So yeah, that's me logging off. Remember to like and subscribe.